So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to generate an almost unlimited amount of things to say in conversations. I'm talking different conversation topics, humor, to just have this like endless stream of things coming to you naturally without you having to like put in a lot of effort. And to make it so that you almost never reach a awkward silence or standstill in a conversation. You've always got something to pull out from the back of your head. Now, this is something I really used to struggle with. I go into conversations and after going through that like initial round of questions, where are you from? What do you do? I'd almost just reach a bit of like a standstill in my head. I wouldn't know where to take the conversation next. Sometimes I'd ask more questions, but I'd feel like a bit weird. Like, is the other person feeling like I'm interviewing them right now? Oftentimes they would just give me like really vague one-word answers. So I have nothing to work with. And then I'm starting to panic even more. Like what am I even going to say next? Does this person even want to talk to me right now? So just like all these spiraling thoughts going on in the back of my head. And yeah, it would just get really awkward. The conversation would come to an abrupt end and I kind of just leave feeling like this awkward freak. And the thing is, I'd always feel this like massive pressure on my shoulders. And a lot of this came from like having those bad experiences in the past where I just felt really awkward and just like a social freak basically. And I carry that into the new conversations. I'd almost like start these new conversations thinking like it's only a matter of time before I run out of things to say. And that there lies part of the problem. Because it's not that you don't have enough interesting life experiences. It's not that you don't have like enough material to talk about or you're asking the wrong type of questions. You actually have everything you need right now to keep a conversation going. You have it all already. It's not because you don't have the things to talk about. It's because you're experiencing this pressure. So I learned about this from my mentor for like social skills and dating. He basically taught me that like no amount of techniques will fix this, like having things to say, unless you like sort out this like feeling of pressure. And he basically told me that this like pressure I'm experiencing is basically just this like belief in the back of my head that things are going to go wrong, that this is all going to end badly. If I don't keep this person entertained, I'm going to be embarrassed by them or they're going to reject me. And it's almost creating this like negative feedback loop in my head. And he said, Tom, the reason why you're feeling this pressure right now is probably because you're like very much focused on entertaining the other person. So much so, you're so worried about like what they're thinking of you and ensuring they're having a good time that you're probably not even enjoying this conversation. You're probably not even like having fun. And really, if you're not having fun, what is the point of even like being there, like on a level? Why are we talking to people if it's not like a fun experience for both of us? Like surely if there's like a purpose to having a conversation, it should just be to just like derive enjoyment from it. And he said, this is actually the solution, Tom. The solution to not running out of things to say, to always having something in the back of your head, to releasing that pressure, is actually to just enjoy yourself more, to start focusing more on like having a good time. Because when we're not feeling that pressure, everything comes back on its own. Get this, he said, everything starts to come back, like your humor, your creativity, your ability to think of what to say next and make jokes, your expression, your storytelling, your memory, everything comes back because you're not feeling that danger anymore. And now you're just having fun and the thoughts are just able to like flow into your head. And when he told me this, I realized something. I realized that the times where I'm not awkward, where I don't even like have to think of what to say next, where everything just seems to be flowing, I usually get that around like my closest friends and family. Like there's certain friends I have, we could just talk about nothing We could just talk about nothing for an hour, or we're making the most childish jokes. And I'm not even like worried about like what I'm going to say next. We're just chilling and having a good time, making some stupid fucking jokes. But it's like absolutely amazing, and I feel like super relaxed, and the thoughts are just coming to me naturally. And you probably have this as well. Like, this is probably what you get around your closest friends. So the secret to like having this endless stream of things to talk about is to release that pressure. And we do that by bringing back our own sense of enjoyment into a conversation. So there's a couple of ways that he taught me to like really help me with this. Like, there's a few different mindsets we can use to like get ourselves back into this state of having a fun conversation. And he said the first thing that you need to like kind of get through your head, you need to adopt the mindset that the world in general, like not just in conversations, the world in general is there for your entertainment. The world is here to entertain us. So basically, I kind of had this realization that a lot of the times in conversations, there were things I wanted to say. Or sometimes when you feel like you don't know what to say, oftentimes we did get a thought flash in our head. Something came up, but we almost rejected that thought ourselves because we like, oh, that's kind of dumb. Or if it was a joke, this joke, they're not going to get it, the joke's not going to land. We almost like talk ourselves out of saying things that like we would find interesting or enjoyable or funny to say. So we like stop ourselves from saying these random thoughts and enjoying the moment. And I often found that like there'd be things that I wanted to say, or like jokes that I would tell. And let's say I told a joke. My entire reaction to that joke would depend on like their reaction. Like how I felt about the joke would almost like come down to like, did they laugh about it? And I kind of like had this, this is literally what I used to think. I used to think that if I told a joke and they didn't laugh, then it was a bad joke. Rather than like, okay, like our sense of humor just isn't the same. I'd almost describe this as like me needing their permission to enjoy myself, to enjoy like the moment. And I kind of realized that like, actually that's not the case. Like, it's not always the case that I need people's like approval to enjoy myself or to like find things funny. Because there's probably like lots and lots of moments throughout your day, just like random moments going about your life where you just see funny things. You just see like random little occurrences and you laugh to yourself, like regardless of who's around. Like literally the other day, I was like walking up the street and I saw some like little dog. And I kind of had this thought, like the owner looks like the dog. And I just laughed out loud to myself. Like it didn't like matter who was around. I didn't need like anyone else's permission to enjoy the joke. I just saw something and my immediate reaction was to laugh out loud, to just enjoy the moment. And that kind of made me realize it's like, yeah, we don't need permission to enjoy things. We can tell jokes. We can say whatever we want to say. As long as we find them enjoyable, as long as we're deriving enjoyment, then that's what's important. The reaction of other people shouldn't be what's important to us. The world, what I mean by what my mentor meant by the world is like not, the world is here for our enjoyment. The world is not a serious place. Like there's so many funny little moments. And if we allow ourselves to enjoy them, then we're going to have a great time on this earth. And this is like the same approach we need to take to conversations. It's like our objective shouldn't be to impress or entertain anyone, but to observe things, comment on things, and just laugh. Like laugh regardless of who is there. We can have fun regardless of who we're with. And that is one of the best ways to just like take the pressure off us. If our objective isn't anything else but to like enjoy ourselves, then that is going to remove a whole lot of pressure. And that is when your natural ability to just think of things will come back. Like you're not afraid to just share like your random little thoughts, your funny observations. You're like this like natural stream of things to bring up in conversation just comes back. So that's point number one. And the second point which he told me is your unique sense of humor is actually an advantage. Your unique sense of humor is one of the things that makes you enjoyable to talk to, which makes other people want to be around you. So why would you like restrict yourself? So again, something else I realized was that I used to kind of like filter all of my humor, all of my topics, the things I would like bring up in a conversation, because I just wasn't sure how they would be received. And that's no good if you're already struggling to think of things. Like it was almost like I was taking like very few risks. I'm only sticking to safe topics. I'm only asking safe questions. But in reality, they've probably heard all of these things a million times. There's nothing unique from me. But basically, something he helped me realize was that actually humor tends to land better. People tend to react better to humor, and we tend to enjoy it more when it's not universally acceptable, when it's not something that everyone is going to find funny. And oftentimes, even when we get quite specific, even when we make jokes that potentially people aren't going to understand, quite niche things, at least 8 out of 10 times, they are still going to enjoy it. And I found this really interesting. So I'm the type of person who I have like a lot of like weird or niche interests and stuff. And I tell people, sometimes I'd like have these thoughts come up. Like I think, oh, this relates to something like quite niche, like one of my interests, or I've got like a really niche joke that I'm going to tell. Like for instance, I met this girl when I was traveling, this American girl, and she had the most American name in the world, and it was like Kendall or something. It was Kendall. And the thought that came up in my head was like this old Nickelodeon show called Big Time Rush, where one of the characters was called Kendall. And I was kind of weighing it up in my head, like, is this too niche? Like, is she gonna get it? But sometimes it's like, the more niche we go, or like how niche the joke is, doesn't really matter. Because humor isn't really about like being clever. It's more about commitment. It's more about like committing to the joke, saying it with conviction and confidence. And that just comes from like, that's as simple as like, is this funny for us? Do we find this funny? If you actually find it funny, you're not just copying someone else's joke, then the energy, the way that you deliver it is naturally going to be like more, there's going to be more conviction behind it. So I said, oh yeah, Kendall from Big Time Rush. And she found it funny. Like, I think she got the reference. Not everyone was going to get the reference. But oftentimes, like, even if the joke doesn't land, and this is something like really interesting that my mentor said. He said, even if the joke doesn't land, oftentimes we take cues from other people. We take social cues. Even if we don't get the joke, if we see the other person is genuinely like having fun, genuinely laughing, if they're enjoying what they just said, we kind of like mirror their body language. Like, you see someone smiling, you probably like want to smile a little bit, or like one of your friends is laughing or joking, even if the joke wasn't that funny to you, you still kind of like laugh a little bit. We take jokes from other people. We take like cues from other people, and their energy ends up like rubbing off on us, and vice versa. So the important thing is like, you can actually like afford to take a bit more risks, to maybe ask some more unique questions, lean into your unique sense of humor or niche interests. And actually, as long as like the enjoyment and the conviction is there from you, other people will end up enjoying this more. And again, that just opened up like a whole new world of things to talk about. Like, the pressure just came straight off me. All of these things that I like almost stopped myself from talking about. And this was a little bit of a process to become comfortable. It's almost like a skill to like share what's on your mind. But if you kind of pull the trigger on those like niche thoughts, the things you think aren't going to land, but your intention, your only objective is to have fun yourself, then so many of these little thoughts, so many of these like, I almost call them like play mode type thoughts, where we're just having fun in the moment, so many of these thoughts come back to you for you to be able to like use at your disposal in conversations. So hopefully you found these insights helpful. I'm actually doing free coaching at the moment through the link in my bio. Any kind of social problem, or it could be something related to what I talked about in this video, I'll hear you out and see if I can help you. Simple as that. I'll see you in the next one.